What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Collection Connections, late to the party, our segment, our favorite segment, where we take a look at movies that are over 10 years old, and we see how they hold up by today's standards. And even if they don't, we have a heck of a good time watching them. I'll be hosting today, your favorite, Jose, and I want to suck your blood. This week, we had the honor and the pleasure of watching BRAM Stoker's Dracula, one of Jason Lego's favorite movies. We're good?
The only person that kept a straight face to that was Isaac. That's pretty good, Isaac. I'm so proud of you.
Anyways, Francis, Dracula, starring Keanu Reeves, Gary Oldman, and Winona Ryder, and that's all that's all I know that's in there.
Hopkins.
Who?
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
Oh yeah, that guy was in it too. He was pretty good. He played Van Helsing.
The Rocketeer.
Yeah, Billy Campbell. Carrie Elwes.
Wow, guys, it's almost like I wasn't prepared for this. Anyways,
It happens.
I don't care what Walmart.com has to say about this movie. What I care about is what you guys had to say. Was there anybody here that hadn't watched this movie before? First time? No?
This was my first time, actually sitting down and watching it. I've tried to watch it 3 times before this and fallen asleep every time.
Really? So now with your actual, you watched the thing from beginning to end. What did you think?
I don't know. So the whole time, the fucking 8 hours or whatever this movie is, I'm sitting there and I'm asking myself, okay, is this supposed to be funny? Or is this really serious? Because if it's funny, yeah, okay, it's funny. But if it's serious, it's funny for a whole different reason, man. So that's kind of my feeling. I still don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I will admit I've watched this movie before, and for some reason, some of the other movies that we've gone back and watched, I've actually grown to appreciate them more. I'm kind of with you on this one. I was kind of like, was I just dumber before and thought this was a good movie? And now that I'm a little bit more educated, I'm going back and thinking, dang, this movie sucks. It's not the worst. It's not bad. It's got its moments. It's cool. I liked a lot of the creature designs and everything. But I don't know, man. Isaac, what was one of your favorite scenes, or what was a standout scene for you?
Dude, Gary Oldman's performance was a standout, dude. That guy's a fucking chameleon, dude. Every different time you saw him, he was a different person, creature. It was fantastic. He's Gary Oldman for a reason. And then the way he seduces those women. He goes
I think the word you're looking for is great.
He does it. He lures them in, and they bend at his will, and they want him to suck their blood and make them immortal just like him, because he's in their head.
The way you described that did not make it any better. Yeah, I was wondering how he was able to get 3 hot chicks, and I can't even get a text back. Not really the way I want to go about doing it. So, Liz, I know you love horror books. I know you like Dracula. What did you think of the movie?
I liked it. I think it was a fair rendition of the novel into cinematic form. It takes a lot of it uses a lot of the stuff that you don't normally. Everybody always focuses on the drinking of the blood and the transformation, the mist. And this one, you get to see the character and the history and the backstories of the characters more. I like this movie. It's not one that I watch all the time or anything like that. It's no Tremors, but but I enjoyed it. I mean, it's Francis Ford Coppola, so you have to like expect a lot of what I call frou cinematography and directing and the set designs and all that stuff. It's over the top, and yeah, I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's why I can't believe that Lego was so hard on it, because it had all that artsy fartsy shooting that Francis Ford Coppola loves to do. And are you a big Bram Stoker fan, Liz?
I like Mr. Stroker.
You made it worse.
This is one of my this is one of the top at Mr. Stroker's level. It's one of my favorites. Right there.
Josh Stroker, how did you feel about this movie?
This movie has been one of my favorites ever since it came out. And I'm not saying that it's a perfect movie. It's not. And I attribute most of that to the wonderful Keanu Reeves and even Winona Ryder. But it's one of those things where you have this juxtaposition between incredible acting talent with Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins, and then these, at least at the time, what Hollywood probably considered to be like young, pretty faces that was probably like a studio decision to have them put in rather than somebody else that might have been able to actually play the role and speak with an English accent. So there are parts of it that are a little disjointing, and it's weird. For me, one of the weird scenes is when Jonathan Harker first arrives at Dracula's castle and he's having dinner and Dracula's not eating. And it's just the interaction between Keanu Reeves and Gary Oldman. It's so disjointed because one guy is an incredible talent and the other guy is Keanu Reeves. So it's a weird scene to watch, but Gary Oldman always like pulls you back in, and your suspension of disbelief kicks in when he starts acting. And then Keanu is like a shot of cold water in the face, and you're like, oh, I'm watching a movie. So, but it still remains one of my favorite films.
I think you kind of hit it there. I think that's what it was for me. I think it was the, like you said, the juxtaposition of a great actor and then Keanu kind of kills it a little bit. But Nate, what's up, man? What was your take on this?
I saw it when it came out, and I liked it when it came out. I always did feel that maybe Keanu was a miscast. I've never been one to put Keanu into the bad actor box, just because he's Keanu. Like, that's who he is. That's how he acts. Put it this way. How many people could have pulled off Ted Theodore Logan with the grandiose flair that he did? Matrix in the Neo, or in the Neo in the Matrix, he's him. He's his iconic thing. He's obviously Keanu in everything that he does, but aren't most actors obviously who they are? I mean, there's a few brilliant people, or there's a few good actors, but as we've gone down into the rabbit hole of who these actors are in real life as people, like, it's not, in my opinion, is not as an illustrious as a career as there is out there. So, I wouldn't necessarily equal somebody being able to act like somebody else with brilliance, but or just acting all together with brilliance. I'm a little bit down on the craft, just because some of the people are a little bit out there. Keanu is one of the people who, as a person, he's really down to earth and like a good guy. So I have a hard time, shitting on his parade, because he is such a good guy. And there's other people who are more notoriously better actors that are shitty people that, have the reputation as being a great actor. So I rather look at him as a guy who's put himself out there, gotten it done. Maybe this wasn't the best casting decision to have you know, the FBI agent from Point Break be be one of the protagonists in a Dracula movie, but that's why I'm not a casting agent. But I think aside from him, Winona was a little bit cardboard as well. But you know, aside from those two, I think that it wasn't bad. You know, the visuals were good for the time. They weren't trying to make it their own too much as they were doing it. It seemed like it, in contrast with a lot of other Dracula movies, it kind of held the line with the original content. So, you know, I think it's a solid movie.
All right. Keeping Keanu casting out of it, Lego, what's something you would have changed that you think would have kind of, you know, like, oh yeah, this is what this movie was missing?
Well, I could do without the character narrations. I think those were a fucking really poor choice. We had like 2 hours of movie, and I don't feel like we needed that much exposition from Keanu and Winona. I that's almost always a bad choice, you know, like with the exception of maybe like the beginning of like a old like kung fu type movie or something like that, or an epic of some sort. I think going in with a narrator, you know, reading their journal or like whatever, is a pretty bad call.
Unless
so
it's
I definitely
Mako
cut
in the
that.
Conan movie.
Yeah.
Or Shaq's journal.
Oh boy.
Well, Liz, I know you're a fan and you really like this movie. So is there any changes you would have made or that you think should have been made that probably would have just pushed this over a little bit more and made it, I mean, better for you?
I mean, some of the cast, we've talked about the casting decisions aside, but no, I think that it's one of the few books to movies that translated well. And I can appreciate that because there's a lot of times they take a lot of liberties with a lot of these types of things. They just like I said, they just like to pick and choose and pick out certain like things out of those types of novels.
Like Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. You know, they keep a few things here and there that they really like, and then they kind of like go with the rest of it. This was kind of a nice change of pace where the novel and the movie actually are pretty, you know, copacetic with each other.
Copacetic.
No.
That's a $5 word right there.
Right? That's a $10 word.
Thank you. It was on my calendar for today.
Weird. It was on my comic today. Liz, I don't know. Remind me, because it's been a while since I read. Was there that little love ending at the end of the book?
They didn't drag it out as much in the book, no, but Mina does, you know, get bit. She does kind of have that connection with him, and she is the one that ultimately supposedly kills him. So that is all true, but that, you know, they had to Hollywoodize some of this, the romance and the, you know, take it a little bit extra. So there is some of that, you know, they have to do that to some degree. But I think it was done well, you know. But yeah, there are little things that they took some liberties here and there with, but not like they normally do with novelizations to movies, and especially not with classic characters like Dracula and Frankenstein and you know, the Mummy and things like that. Usually they take a lot of liberties with those characters and change it around and change it up. This is a good, if you haven't read the book, this is a good movie Cliff's Notes version of it. Whereas the Frankenstein one with De Niro and Kenneth Branagh, that's a really good translation of the Frankenstein story. So this is on that equivalent level.
Okay. Josh, anything that you would have liked to have changed or seen? Again, casting Keanu aside.
You know, it's hard to pick something apart from that because those are the things that really stand out as being kind of obvious. The big difference, the big differences in the movie from the novel have to do with the whole thing about Vlad Dracula himself.
Yeah.
The novel really doesn't point toward him all that much, and so the movie takes some liberties in combining the two. And frankly, I think it works for the purposes of the movie. And you know, I'm a big history buff, so I probably could have gone with more impalings, but I think the movie works. I mean, it's well done. I don't think there's a lot you could do to change it, to make it better, except to get a new Jonathan and Mina Harker.
Hey, and I actually appreciate it, but I wanted to get, while I have you, what did you think of the whole like Christ being the redeeming factor in this whole thing? Like Christianity played a pretty big role, and I remember reading the book and that being sprinkled throughout.
Yeah. Well, I don't. So first of all, in the movie, it makes it lean Eastern Orthodox, and that's not really the brand of Christianity that I subscribe to, obviously. But I think it's always been a part of the kind of the Dracula mythos that the power of the Christian God is what repels the vampires, you know. So this kind of fits into that whole motif. I don't think it gets into anything deep enough to really comment on it in any theological sense. You know, the movie just contrasts that light and the darkness. You know, Dracula being the damned creature, and faith in God being the thing that opposes him. One of the things that I appreciate, though, is that Dracula is such a force of nature that even when they confront him toward the end, you know, before they make the chase toward his castle, that, you know, they come in with like a crucifix and he lights it on fire in his rage, and you're just like, that's, you know, you really get a sense that Dracula is not just some you know, lesser creature of the night. He's like the one, you know. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, and I did. And like you said, it wasn't preachy, and I really enjoyed that. It was just the right balance. Isaac, any changes that you would have loved to have seen or added that you think would have just like boom?
Nah, man.
Nate, what about you?
It was solid. It was a solid movie for the time. I didn't even mind Keanu, so you know, it was good. I got nothing on this one. Solid movie. I like it.
All right.
I still do.
All right, and Lego, because we are just dying to know how many buckets, baby.
I still don't know. I think it's either a 1 or it's a 10. It's I don't know. Like I said, I still don't know how to feel about it. Like you guys were saying, like the creature design was cool, the masks were awesome. Well, the sets were like over the top, and they had the cool shadow things going on in the background, and it was visually interesting, and it seemed like put together well. But then there's like weird decisions like the narration, and some of the acting just felt disjointed. And even Gary Oldman, like I know you guys are giving him praise, but come on, that death scene, my God, that was a joke. Like his lip is all like the worst quiver you've ever seen, and then his eyes, he just goes, and it's like they just roll up, and it's like, man, that is not good acting. That's bad. Like, who decided that looked good? It doesn't. It looks bad. So it's like it's a weird, disjointed movie. So I don't know. I'll give it like a 5.
I really thought you were gonna say I give it a 10.
No. Like I said, it's like it's a weird thing, because it's like, I don't know, like that new Death Note movie on Netflix. It's like it's bad, but it's funny. And this one's like it's bad, but it's funny, but it's not. I don't know. It's weird. I'd rather watch The Simpsons. The Treehouse.
The Treehouse of Horrors. That's an amazing adaptation for anybody who hasn't
There we
seen
go.
Isaac. Buckets, baby.
8 buckets. I'm going 8 buckets.
How many?
8.
Nate.
8 buckets.
8.
8 buckets. 8 buckets. It's not time transcending or anything like that. I think there's other renditions of Dracula that come to mind when you think of it first, but it's just solid, and I think it held well with the source material. I mean, we're all kind of shitting on the narration, but the book had that in it. So, am I right, Liz?
Yeah, and I think that they use the narration because unlike other movies with Dracula in it, they just use a lot of his like mind, like the Bela Lugosi was like, like, you know, with his mind power and him turning to mist and into the wolf in the bat type situation, whereas this shows the true power of Dracula and what he has and can do with like the weather. And I think the narration is to help explain why like the boat was slow or the boat was fast or this or that happened, with some of it explaining that they realize that he is more of a force to be reckoned with, and they had to like kind of give some exposition on some of what was done as far for the narration purposes and who these guys are and why did Van Helsing come in, and you know, other than just, hey, he's just a mentor, let's just listen to everything he has to say type situation, you know, little things like that. I think it was more to legitimize and be able to tell, I guess, a little bit more about the characters and the powers. Like I said, especially with the Dracula situation, when they're talking about the first mate going missing, and they needed to do that to help explain certain things about Dracula that you normally don't see or hear about in books and movies, except for the original. Oh, but if we're going with buckets, it's an 8.
All right, Josh.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that assessment. I think the directing is great. I think it's fun to watch. I think it holds up pretty well over time. I think and obviously it has a lot of forward-going effect. I mean, maybe not this movie necessarily has downstream consequences in film, but the fact that this is the movie that's faithful to the Dracula novel, we can't deny that Dracula's had a big impact in cinematic history. And the acting is either top-notch or it's half-assed. And so that kind of brings it down a notch. So I would be inclined to agree with the 8 buckets, but I'm a big Gary Oldman fan, so that's going to bump it up to a 9 for me.
This was like his second movie. Did you know that?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's Gary friggin' Oldman.
Well, this is his second big time movie. His first one was JFK, and then it was this one, and then it was True Romance. They all came out within months of each other.
Yeah, that guy's a hard worker, man.
Wasn't he, what's his name? Mozart as well?
Was he?
And Amadeus?
Yeah, there we go.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't Amadeus, and he wasn't. What's his face? The other guy. Can't remember who.
I mean, that guy's been getting robbed for years on Best Actor award. It took him playing Churchill to finally land it, but I mean, he's deserved it for almost every role he does, because everything, you know, Isaac said at the beginning of this is that he's a chameleon in this movie. He's a chameleon in his acting career. You know, he's not unlike Keanu, who plays the same role every time. Gary Oldman is a different dude in every film, and he's fantastic. So we got an early glimpse of it in this movie.
I believe him as Commissioner Gordon too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said.
What was which didn't he do one of the Hannibal movies too?
I don't think so.
Wasn't he like the cut up guy? It was in Hannibal, wasn't it? Or
anyways. Is he the cop who gets his face ripped off? Sorry, I guess that's a bit of a tangent.
No, that's him. The one that gets his face hauled, and he's after him. Anyways, sorry. But I agree. It's 8 buckets for me as well. It's a lot of fun to watch. I like going back and watching it. I don't know. It just changes every time I watch it. And maybe that's what it is. It's just I've watched more movies now, and but I enjoyed it a lot. So that's it for me. Thank you guys for giving me the honor and pleasure of hosting. I'm going to pass the reins off to, I believe it's Isaac.
Thanks there, pal. Join us
Take
next
it away,
week,
buddy.
or actually join us in talking shit, or we'll pick the movies and we'll see on the wheel of destiny if one of my picks gets picked or if it's one of John Steinhardt's. I'm Isaac.
I'm Jason.
I'm Jose.
Liz. I was taking
And Josh.
again.
Nate the Great.
And we were late to the party. Out.